left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, so requesting straight in for 13.
If that's available, please.
Ever departure of Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs, clearance, Pilots 4658 is type PC tunnel slam call request clearance to Vegas S file.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S file, and I'll be full route standby. Pilots 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport via Flight Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs, Victor 370 to 29 Palms, Victor 538, Cresso, join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000, expect flight level 2405 minutes after departure, departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
Pilots 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3, initial climb 7 plus expect 025, departure 167, squawk 6316 plus switching side.
Pilots 4658, free baggage correct. Tango D Mike, taxi to the ground via Echo and frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike.
Ontario Tower, Cessna 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237, Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left, traffic, left downwind, runway 26, left, report base.
Enter left downwind 26 left, report your base, 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower, United 242, on the visual for 20 right, returning for right base party.
United 242, John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 17023.
Clear to land, to the right, United.
Near 520 Yankee Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 1. Number 237, Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
6 left, clear to land, 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ground Pilots 4658 is traffic weather going for taxi.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the ILS.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 900 clear low approach, report miss.
November 2903 Alpha, low approach, runway 9, next report.
Palm Springs Tower Pilots 4658 ready to go trail right at Bravo.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for takeoff.
Shift takeoff trail right Pilots 465.
Here's our Yankee Kilo, roger, taxi into the ramp via Alpha. Pilots 4658, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure 465.
Cessna 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active, taxi to the GA parking base.
We're 7 Charlie Alpha, and on this frequency, taxi into the south ramp via Sierra.
South ramp via Sierra with you, 7 Charlie Alpha base.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going missed.
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying public mid-approach procedure. November 2903.
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency 135.0.
135.4 for departure. November 2903.
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound ILS 26 left. Or 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower. Good afternoon, Ontario. Wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 6 on line. Ontario Tower, November 36. Correction, 516 Delta Mike, clear to be active at uniform, taxiing to the south apron.
Number 6 Delta Mike, roger, taxi on south ramp via Sierra. Remain on this frequency.
Via Sierra on this frequency, 6 Delta.
Riverside Tower, November 2903 Alpha Riverside Ground, November 2903 Alpha, in Alpha request taxi to the current departure.
Number 2903 Alpha Riverside ground. In the future, don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. Should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the hold short point. Stay on this frequency for now. Taxi to the ramp via Alpha.
Taxi to ramp via Alpha. Rocket. Current via Alpha.
Runway clear. Runway clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 rating today.
Cherry 76 Charlie Mike Jolly clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be, let's go, Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 6 Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. Which your plan
Las Vegas Tower Plus 46589 visual 1 hour right 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land 1 hour right 465.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel. Remain on this frequency today.
Exit right, right via hotel, right frequency 58 465.
Ground number 95 for Whiskey Alpha's Hyper Comanche PH4/Alpha. Taxi be active VFR East departure with weather.
Calling Long Beach ground, need you to verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that. 916 Whiskey Alpha, November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and East Ram just south of runway 25.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger, runway 26 right, taxi via Kilo.
Okay, 25 right via Kilo, 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha, holding short of 25 right Kilo, ready for departure via Park East.
Ground 16 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right downwind departure, route.
Clear for takeoff 25 right downwind departure 6 Whiskey Alpha. Good day, Palm Springs, ground scanning Hotel Tango. Eastbound, India, close traffic, 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango, good night. Palm Springs, ground say good aircraft type.
Gray Cessna Sky.
Skyline Tango, any might thank you, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31 right.
We're center 791 Juliet, Torrance ground left clear.
Okay, Sky 791, we see there's no exposed delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground. Just say your intentions.
Okay, Sky 791 Juliet, type Cessna 172 on the south angles with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to jump.
Number 791 Juliet, roger, departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249 is 2061.
Got 901 Juliet, read back is correct, are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just gotta go and keep starting. Sky 791 south angles.
Sky 791 Juliet, roger, runway 29 right. Taxi via hotel, correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right taxi by Alpha and Juliet, Sky 791.
Palm Springs Tower, scanning Papa Tango. Mike is holding short runway 31 right, Bravo, and ready for departure, close traffic.
Hello everyone, happy Saturday. I-6 time today, and perhaps even I-7 time tomorrow, and perhaps even I-8 time on Monday. I've got some free time, obviously, so I'd really like to pass for all of my I ratings just before Christmas, and then finally continue with the 172 development in Blender and PlaneMaker and stuff. So it's not that I'm in a rush, but once I've got some free time, I'd like to immediately use it for Flight Sim, obviously. Scampers, good to see you. Indeed, I-6 hype. So yeah, another I rating, and this one is very nice, quite a bit shorter than the I-5 rating previously, when we needed to fly from Burbank all the way down to Las Vegas, or all the way up to Las Vegas, which was a 2-hour, 3-hour flight with our 172, which was kind of nice. But then again, it's also, I really dig short distance flights. Also VFR, a lot more to do, a lot more to consider, especially in dense airspace, at least for VFR. But now with IFR, we could just go along our own route. And today we're going to fly from LAX, from Los Angeles International Airport, a Bravo class airport. Still, to me, it amazes me that we can actually fly from these, or towards these airports with our 172s. But obviously we can, and today we're going to depart from Los Angeles International Airport and fly to John Wayne. And everyone who knows a bit about Southern California knows that that's not a long flight. This is the particular flight, including the particular approach that we need to fly as part of this rating, a ILS approach into John Wayne runway 20. Right. And we've already been practicing that particular approach, I think also as part of my own training, but today for the first time, at least as part of the I ratings, we need to fly the full approach. So usually when we fly instrument approaches, ATC will most likely vector you to the final approach fix, and then you go about your landing, right? That's almost always the case, but for practice sake, and also for the as part of this I rating, we're actually going to fly the full approach. I'm going to show you that in just a second. But this is the flight, so LAX. It doesn't include the SID here in the flight. It also has a particular SID, a standard instrument departure, that we're going to fly. So we are not in the way of any big heavy airliners that are departing from LAX. Our cute little Cessna 172 needs to get the hell out of there without disrupting the airflow. And that's generally the purpose, right, of or one of the purposes of a standard instrument departure, or the stars, or the instrument approaches. I don't even if that's also as part of the instrument approaches, but at least from the stars and the SIDS perspectives, we need to get out of there as part of our 172 kind of business. And we are actually flying a SID, therefore specifically intended for props for piston aircraft, and I'm going to show you that right now. Now, first, LAX, so big airport. We are parked over here, at Atlantic. Most likely we're going to get a departure from 25 left over there. So there's going to be a quick taxi on Alpha. And this is our standard instrument departure, the Seal Beach 8 departure to Seal Beach. And Seal Beach is actually also the initial approach fix for our instrument approach. So, the SID actually connects seamlessly to our instrument approach, so that's great. And this is the approach. It's quite basic, or this is the departure. It's quite basic, as you can see. We are going to depart 25 left. You can also see here at the notes, takeoffs on these runways. This departure is for non-turbojet aircraft. Turbojet aircraft use LAX, so they've got different departures depending on what kind of powerful aircraft you have, which makes sense. And the idea of this particular departure is that we don't climb through 3,000 feet. As you can see, that line on top indicates a top altitude as part of the SID. So we need to stay below that. Now, why is that the case? At least until we reach the radial 154 from Santa Monica. Well, south complex turn at SMO, the Santa Monica VOR 220 is required for ATC separation. Well, what kind of separation? Well, we've got all kinds of VFR corridors or flyways. I don't know what they are actually called technically, strictly. But we've flown those, which is all kinds of traffic that is flying above us. That's going to cross over from the south to the north and north to the south. So we need to stay under that. Now, I don't know if we're even going to be able to reach 3,000 feet with our 172, looking at this distance from the runways. In any case, we need to stay below 3,000, and once we cross that radial, then we need to make that left turn to 201 if we are assigned 25 left as a departure, which I think we will. And then we can expect vectors. if we look at the textual description, always look at the textual description as well, perhaps even first, and then at the plan view here, the top view, the graphical view. 25 left, climb on a heading 251, that's the departure, to cross the SMO yes, at or below 3000, then turn left heading to yes, and then for radar, vectors to the Seal Beach Vortex, thence on assigned altitude, all after 5 minutes of departure, roger. So in our case, we're going to do this, we're going to stay ahead flying until we reach that radial, then 201, and then most likely departure is going to say, well, Tim, continue direct to the Seal Beach Vortex or some kind of heading or whatever. So that's kind of like this little chunk where we'll be a bit farther ahead, so something like this. And then we're going to fly to Seal Beach Vortex, which is over here, which is then the starting point of our instrument approach. As you can see here, the Seal Beach Vortex. And from that point on, we're going to fly 049er at 4000 still, our cruising altitude of today, and join the instrument approach. It's actually already part of the instrument approach. And as you can see, we're now going to fly a procedure turn. It's part of a hold, but this hold is actually primarily nowadays, in modern times, primarily intended for us to just turn around and get ourselves aligned with the approach runway. So we're actually not going to fly holdings in non-radar environments. Perhaps that's the case when ATC cannot separate different aircraft on doing the same instrument approach at the same time with some separation. But with radar environments, they're much more precise, and so you can have multiple aircraft doing this instrument approach. And so usually this, or most of the times, I guess all of the times, these holdings are actually not holdings, they're procedure turns, just a way to get ourselves aligned. Now, or what are we going to do? So we're going to fly from Seal Beach, we're going to fly all the way down to this part, then we're going to align ourselves with the localizer, but flying it backwards, or the other way, 196, for 1 minute. You can see it's depicted already, which is also important. I noticed that on particular instrument approach plates, also on low IFR charts, I believe, this is not always the case that you need to fly 1 minute holding pattern. Sometimes it can be 5 or something else. So always look at that 1 minute or that time depiction there. There could also be a distance mentioned there, so something to be aware of. So then we're flying outbound. And then we just use the usual holding pattern entry kind of scheme, right? And the most important part is stay within the protected area of that hold. So never fly on this side, right? ATC expects you to make that left turn in this case, which seems a little bit contradictory, but because if you zoom in, you can see that the racetrack here makes right turns, right? But hey, that's part of holding, making an entry in such a hold. So what we're going to do is make a parallel entry like this, gain in, and then we continue our route. So we're actually not flying this chunk at all. It's just this is just here for us to turn around. So that's what we're going to do. So from Sager on, if you like this. Hey Dad, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So from Sager we're going to turn around and then we're going to go and continue and hopefully successfully complete this approach. So as you can see here in the profile view, once we reach Sager here, that arrow to the right, that's actually our procedure turn going outbound, and then we're going to make that turn. And at these times we need to stay at above 3,500 feet. Until we reach Sager again inbound. So we're actually going to cross Sager 2 times. And then we can start our descents. Step down, we can go down. Now, interestingly, this, I believe, if I remember it correctly, and if I understand it correctly, my first I rating, Keith was so kind to jump on our channel, on our voice channel, or I don't know how he did it through PilotEdge, and he was mentioning an important thing, which I wasn't aware of at the time, and I'm getting more aware of today, which is that there are obviously, when you fly at around Sager, or obviously most of the times, and this is actually the point. If we fly at Sager and we have the ILS tuned in, which we already have in the VOR, we would already get a glide slope reading, and you might be tempted to already fly the glide slope at the point of Sager because, well, you already get a reading, right? Why don't fly the damn thing already? Well, because on some airports, especially if the weather is particular, even if you are flying the glide slope, you can actually bash through these minimum altitudes. And these minimum altitudes are primary, are leading, right? You should always fly above these minimum altitudes. And that's why this Harry Potter lightning bolt thing is there, which points to the point where we are actually legally allowed or expected to capture the glide slope. Even though we already have the reading, that's the point where we actually can look at our glide slope indication and fly the thing. Which I didn't do with the first I rating. So at this time, once we are inbound to Sager, so we did the procedure turn and we're heading towards the airport again, we might already have a reading, but I'm actually going to ignore that, even though I'm aware of it, and just fly using just the step downs, as if we were flying a non-precision approach. I think that's the right thing to go about this. So we're just going to fly like this, go down to 3,400, then 208, and until we are at 2,200, and we reach the point where we're going to capture that glide slope, and that asterisk, or that what is it, the Maltese cross symbol. That's the final approach fix. That's also the time when we need to finally, and I think I never succeeded in doing this, sync or double check whether our altimeter reading corresponds with the reading on the chart. And most likely it is if we have set our altimeter setting to the ATIS of our destination airport of John Wayne in this case. But you should always check. Well, why? Well, in VFR conditions it's not that important, I guess. Well, it might still be. But the most important thing is obviously terrain separation, obstacle separation, and so you need to make sure that you are in sync with the chart. So at this point at Lemon, my altimeter should read 2,200 like the chart depicts. So that's a very important point that you should include in your checks, and I've always failed to do that, because usually at this point at Lemon, which distracts me obviously, and distracts anyone, I guess, this is usually also the point where the approach controller is going to send you over to tower to get your clearance to actually land, right? Before Lemon, this whole chunk, we are still with approach, and we are clear to fly the approach, but we're not clear to land yet. So once we are at Lemon at the final approach fix, that's when we're going to change over to tower. But that's also the point where we need to check our altimeter, and that's usually the case. That's why I usually forget to sync my altimeter or double check whether my altimeter settings are right, because I'm doing two things at the same time. And apparently that's still something that I need to work on. But it's interesting. So that's something that I'm particularly aware of. And again, as we've already seen in previous episodes, apparently it's not really a guarantee when I'm already aware that I'm going to that there is a potential risk here that I'm going to make a mistake and forget to do something, because in previous streams, even though I've mentioned this a couple of times during my stream, I end up still forgetting the damn thing that I was intending to not forget. So yeah, this is real. I guess it really requires drill and practice training, and a real instructor here just to Keith here in the right seat that just hits me on the head and says, Tim, don't forget the altimeter setting, or the altimeter check. Anyway, so this is going to be our flight. We're going to go down to 255. The weather is great at John Wayne, so we're VFR. But at 255 feet MSL, that's going to be our decision altitude. And then we're going to decide whether we are going to continue and complete our landing. And then we land on John Wayne, and that's the rating. So the new thing about this rating is actually flying a full approach, which we already practice as part of my own training, as part of the Uncertified Pilot, because I'd like to be prepared, and well, that's just how I approach things. But again, this is already indicating how the I ratings are set up as a training curriculum. I'm using it as an assessment curriculum, as a summative kind of final exam, like a check ride. But it's very, very clear that the I ratings are meant also to introduce PilotEdge users to new theory, IFR theory, and get more familiar with IFR flying, which is great. So it doesn't surprise me that we are already familiar with doing this, at least as part of my streams. All right, I want to have a bit of sound, a bit of music, because we're going to get started. Back to my airport. Yes. Our maps. Into our little cute cockpit. Alrighty then. It's also been, again, a few weeks since I've flown, so hopefully I'm not going to make too many mistakes. Cessna 172, yeah, looks familiar. Door is still open, so let's do that first. I'm going to skip the walk around. Door is closed. Call and dark check. Parking brakes are set. Life has fire extinguisher, blah blah. Door is closed. ELT is set to auto. Flaps are up. And they are up. My mixture throttle side deck is working. My trim is working. Fuel tank set to both. Cutoff is in. Alternate is in. Avionics are off. And all of my lights are off except for the beacon. And master switch is off. And my magnetics are off. Yeah, my side deck panel is working as well. My radios are off individually. Don't know why that's really necessary. It is not, but I've got my side deck panels configured like that. So it's just cool. It's just cool. Yeah, and everything is off, and I don't see any other weird things. No circuit breakers are out. Good. So battery's on. Got enough fuel. That's good. I can also hear the gyro electrical gyro spool up. Avionics
El
on.
Monte information whiskey. 9. El Monte information.
That's the COM1, I guess. Transponder is still off. VFR. That's good. Let's put our flaps down. They go down, and they go down in sync. Good. Let's also put my transponder on already. ADF is on. That's okay. My radios seem to work just fine. Database is fine-ish. And we got good deflections there. And reception. Alright, we're not going to configure that yet. COM1, we're currently set to some
1900 Zulu weather. Wind 030 at 5. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 9700 broken.
That's
temperature
really
14.
Interesting.
Dew point -4.
There we go. Yeah, already swapped my comms to a different frequency, but still I was hearing ATIS. That's interesting. Yeah, this is all on. Annunciator panel is okay. We can already sync our heading indicator. It should be 7 or 65. 65-ish. Airport elevation should be around 400? No. 98, around 100s. I mean, that's also part of, if you look at the airport diagram, you should actually, shouldn't, I'm just looking at the elevation here and mentioned at the runways, but that could obviously still differ a bit with our ramp, because our ramp could be a bit higher or lower. I believe officially it should be around 75 feet plus or minus. So 122, well, I think that's about okay. And yeah, everything is set, and we've got fuel for this flight, and I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay, then off. Parking brakes are still set. Bit of a throttle. Fuel pump. 1, 2, 3. Positive fuel flow, and cut off. Make sure no one is walking around. No people flow. We're not flying Orbix, but still, a good reminder of the old days. It's a bit choppy, by the way. Might explain. Hope that we're not run into any issues here. Yes, in. Okay, clear prop. Good. temperature full in, 1200, oil pressure is already in the green. Adjust folds, there's the alternator again. Let's lean for ground, there's a rise in the RPMs, and there are drops, so a bit richer, good. Perfect, and reset it to 1000 and allow our oil temperature to rise. Good, then avionics on again. Mode C 1200, and then we can set some frequencies. Well, we don't need that much. We need SMO, which is 110.8. I'm going to set it to the nav 2. So we're going to see once we fly through that radial, and then we can continue our climb to our assigned top altitude. And then primary, we need to use primary. Then we're going to fly Seal Beach, and then we can switch Seal Beach over to the ILS frequency. That's my plan, at least. Okay, so 110.8, 110.8. There we go, and it should be on 154. That's the radio that we're going to cross, 154. Very good. And then we need Seal Beach, and Seal Beach is, I should know this, actually, 115.7. Yes, 115.7. There we go. That's a switch. I should also identify my SMO. That's identified, and I should also check my Seal Beach, but perhaps we're too far away or too low to get a reception. Yes, but I will keep my nav on there, so once I hear Morse code I know that we got a reception, which is also a good trigger. So that's fine. And in the standby for my nav 1 I can already set my localizer frequency 111.75. Okay, so that's already in the standby. Perfect. No need to set a OBS. I mean, we're gonna fly to the east, southeast, so it's gonna be probably something like this. Okay, good. Swiping back to the airport diagram here of LAX. Good. That's running, no annunciator still. We have set our, no messages, I mean, we synced our heading indicator. Let's get some ADAS going, right? Now, we got multiple ADASes on bigger airports. In this case, we got one for arrivals and one for departures. Because there are so many runways and so much stuff that they can say, they like to chop the ADAS off or make it more specific. So in our case, we are going for departure, obviously. 135.65. Let's have a listen.
Los Angeles INTL Information Whiskey. 2000 Zulu weather. Wind 030 at 5. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 9,900 broken.
Good.
Temperature 14. Dew point -4.
Good.
Altimeter 2992. Arriving runway 07 left. Departing runway 07 left.
Much better.
Eyes on initial contact, you have
Whiskey. Alright, that's good. Our altimeter setting is also much more, resembles much more the airport elevation depictions that we saw in the airport diagram. Then I would also like to see the already put in the ADAS of John Wayne, because we're, I mean, it's not really that much of a problem, but as soon as we're taking off and switching from tower to departure, and then from departure to SoCal, we're already quite nearby John Wayne, and John Wayne already knows, or the approach controller already knows, that we're going to fly to John Wayne. So it's good to already have the weather information ready, so you can mention we have the weather, we have Bravo or whatever, so they can immediately pick up the pace or continue the pace and say, well, what do you like to do in terms of approach? And then we're going to request the full approach for runway 20 right, starting from Seal Beach. So I like to have that in the ready as well. 126.0 in the standby of the COM2. Alright, so now we are ready. We are risky. Gonna switch my COM2 already to the ATIS of John Wayne, because we don't need any ATIS here at LAX, and we're ready to pick up our IFR clearance. Alright. So, for that, I obviously need the clearance delivery frequency, which is 120.35. Should also hear some PilotEdge chatter. COM1 is on. Hey, Jaden. Go to Amsterdam. No, Southern California is much more fun, especially with PilotEdge. Jaden, at least that's my personal opinion. Clearance review 120.35. Yes. I'd like to hear some chatter. And then we're going to go to ground, and obviously, most likely, ground is going to have multiple frequencies as well. I can show you here on ForeFlight what I'm looking at. So here on ForeFlight you can see the ground tab that I just highlighted, and you can see so many different frequencies for ground. Now I think we should just be with the southern complex. We're at the south. If you look at the airports, we're at the bottom, right? So I think 1 to 1.75 would be right. Okay, so that's already set. Scratch pad we can already prepare, so we're gonna go to John Wayne. I filed the Seal Beach 8 to the Seal Beach, and then direct to our destination airport, which is John Wayne already. So most likely we're going to get this altitude, climb via SID, and it's most likely going to be 4,000. And this is also part of the I rating, which is also a bit of a cheat, because the I rating already prescribes what you need to file and what you can expect. I mean, there's one I rating, I believe it was the I4 rating, where they don't tell you what you can expect, which is actually a proper way of practicing IFR, I guess. But in this case, we are pretty certain what we're going to get. Climb via SID, and then 4,000. So after we cross that radial from Santa Monica, because we need to stay below 3,000 feet, once we are beyond that radial, then we can continue our climb to 4,000, and that's what it means. That's what it means to fly via the SID. The SID prescribes to us, instructs us to stay below 3,000 until we reach that that radial. Frequencies I don't know, and transponder I also don't know. Why are we not hearing anyone on the radio? Double check my frequency here. Clearance delivery 120.35. It is set. Are we live? Plugins. We are live. Well, one way to find out is just to request our clearance. The volume could also be low. And that's what...
Loud and clear, how you reading?
Loud and clear, as if he was hearing me.
St. Louis Tower, King November 99.
Let me see. If you look at the Reality XP GPS that I'm using, like the real GNS 430, you can see the RX text light up at the COM. Let me see, can I show you? No, you cannot see the mouse cursor. You can see RX there displaying on the GNS, which shows you that something is that the device is receiving something, which is very handy. If I've got my volume low, and I still see the RX displaying, then I know that it has something to do with my headset or my volume, which is handy. Same goes with transmitting.
Runway 4 Zulu, San Luis Tower, make straight in, runway 29er, go to land.
Alright, we are at Atlantic with Whiskey IFR to John Wayne for the I-6 rating.
468 San Luis Tower, make straight in, runway 29er. Tell you what, report 3 mile final.
Los Angeles clearance, good day. Skyhawk, Papa Hotel Tango Mike is at Atlantic with Whiskey IFR to John Wayne for the I-6 rating today, please.
119er Mike, SoCal approach, Palomar altimeter 299
down.
Dallas, runway 24 approach.
Perhaps he heard me and say, go ahead, or other airplane.
Papa Hotel Tango Mike, Los Angeles clearance, clear to John Wayne Airport, Seal Beach 8 departure. Seal Beach as filed. Maintain, correction, climb via SID except maintain 4,000. Departure frequency 125.2, squawk 2447.
Papa Hotel Tango Mike is clear to John Wayne, Seal Beach 8, and the Seal Beach transition then as filed. Climb via SID except 4,000, 125.2 for departure, and 2447 for the squawk.
PHA, I'm reback, correct?
Alright. So, oh, I didn't show my iPad here. Yeah, pretty much as I expected, right? Or as PilotEdge instructed me to do. Alright, this is great. So we are ready to go. In a way, we can just already start. I mean, we are slant golf, but just for situational awareness, I am going to put in this into our cute little flight plan. Let me see. Flight plan. Let's put in our destination airport first. Thanks for the follow, Jaden. Thanks. Come on, SNA. Very good. Procedures. No, I want a departure first. What departure? Well, we got plenty. Here at LAX, we'd like to have the Seal Beach one. Seal Beach 8, enter. What runway? Yeah, that depends. I believe 25 left, most likely. There we go. Load. All right.
Louis Tower. King Air 99840.
Oh, that's annoying. Yeah.
3 miles from base.
Approach 20 right from Seal Beach.
Air 820
Loads.
runway 29
Yes.
clear land.
What do we have here? Okay, SNA. All right. Let's remove that here. Seal Beach, and we got it doubled, so this can be removed as well. Yes, Seal Beach, then Sager, then do the hold or the procedure turn. Snake, lemon, final approach fix, and that's our missed approach. Seems good to me. Menu, copy, so we save it actually in case we turn off our avionics. The Reality XP actually, you can change this in the settings, but if, like in the real world, if I just turn off my avionics, it forgets the flight plan. It's not saved in memory, but now that I copied it, I saved it actually, so I can reload it if we got an electrical equipment failure or something like that. Yes. No, I'd like to have a look at the route, which is kind of okay. However, I expected that the flight plan would actually show me that initial segment where we are flying over the sea. and do that actual departure thing, and it doesn't show that. I don't know why that's the case. Seal Beach. Yeah, departure, Seal Beach 8. Okay. 4Flight is doing the same actually. It's not a biggie because it's a very basic instrument departure. So we're going to fly it on our own, but it's good to know. Okay, so that said, yeah, we're ready to go and start our taxi. 2447 we need to set, by the way. 2447. No. 2447. Yes, that's set. 125.2 is for departure. 4,000, and then it's filed. Yeah, okay. Switch to ground. Southern 121.75.
Yeah. Taxi parking via Alpha, passenger Cat 2. Gate 2.
Santa Barbara clearance, Cessna 4452.
Cessna 4452, Santa Barbara clearance.
Cessna 4452, ready to request IFR clearance to Santa Maria from Santa Barbara.
You got a blank flight plan.
Okay, let me go look, but I do have one question for a sec.
Go ahead.
On the Flout 5, it shows that it should be 6,000 as the altitude, is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Cessna 172, Jaden.
Well, I filed, it put my file in at 4,000, but now I'm seeing at or above 6,000 heading to San Marcos, RZS.
So you're looking at an altitude restriction. Altitude restrictions don't really apply to cruise altitude unless there's a reason that it has to, because some of the altitude restrictions are just for procedural purposes for ATC, if that makes sense to you. So like if there's a sector at 5,000 that we want to keep you out of, then the chart might say you have to cross that at or above 6. So it doesn't really mean anything for your cruise altitude. If you're told to climb via SID except maintain 4,000, then you would do the other altitude restrictions below 6 and then stop at 4.
Okay, let me go check my file. I'll be back with you.
Roger that. Now, in this case, I think you do need to be at 6 for terrain.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So the flight sim gave me 4, but I'll change it when I go back.
Roger that.
And Los Angeles ground, Sky Papa Delta Tango Mike and Atlantic with Whiskey ready for taxi.
Well, to Tango and Mike, Los Angeles ground, runway 25 left, taxi Alpha Foxtrot.
25 left via Alpha Foxtrot, Papa Delta Tango Mike. Okay, Alpha Foxtrot, Alpha Foxtrot, 25 left. So that confirms all of our departure plans and stuff. Good, so let's swap this away. Very good. Let's get going. Brake test works.
Yes, that's a pass.
Heading indicator works. Turning, slip indicator works. Or turn indicator works, I should say. Alright. And our slip indicator works as well. There we go, taxiing on LAX with our 172. Now I do have a reading on my nav1, it seems, a 2 reading. And I was not picking up any nav1 Morse code, so I guess we're not picking it up just yet. Alpha 6 onto Alpha confirmed, no ground traffic. There we go. Now there's much more pretty airport scenery here for LAX for X-Plane, made by Mr. X, I believe. But I mean, the stuff that he's making is just gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. But I was thinking I am actually not really visiting, departing, or arriving at LAX that often. So I thought it's a bit unnecessary for me to get that scenery, but it's pretty though. So I'm flying with the free version, I think, from the org. Alright, this is the Gulf intersection.
Flighting 140.
Singapore Airlines Cargo. Engine is still looking good. No initiated messages. I guess this should be Foxtrot then. Let's have a look. Oh yes, it is. Alpha Foxtrot it says, by the way. Let's make sure. That's interesting. I mean, it's not Foxtrot, it says Alpha Foxtrot. Alpha 7. I mean, it doesn't look like the beginning of the runway. To me, actually. And it says Alpha Foxtrot, which is a bit weird. I mean, we're on our Alpha Foxtrot, but this is the exit Alpha Foxtrot. Also, looking at the chart, the intersection is a bit different. So I'm just going to continue here. And if that's a fail, then that's a fail. FedEx. Got some clouds on 9,000. 9,000. Which is not at all a concern to us. Also, guys, Active Sky Next announced their plugin for X-Plane coming this December. High fidelity weather engine, no cloud textures and stuff, so just the engine. So good weather interpolation stuff. Finally, I mean, my weather downloads here are awful and my winds are always off and blah blah blah. That's going to be changed soon. Active Sky Next is going to jump over as well, which is great news. Ah, this is exactly the sign that I was looking for. Alpha and then the Foxtrot, so that's interesting. Also, the fact that I didn't see Alpha Foxtrot mentioned on my chart. So I guess the scenery is off, and that's perhaps also a reason why I should get the new scenery. Yeah, Dad, yeah, I think so too. And also is a good sign, healthy sign that X-Plane is doing well and attracting more developers. Alright, there we are. Park and brake set. Engine is our oil temperature already in the green, so mixture full in. 1800. Everything seems stable, no initiated messages, pressure is good. Alright. Left max, good enough drop, back to both. Other mag, similar, good drop, very good. Vacuum was green, the green as well. Idle, let's see if we still got oil pressure, no initiated messages. Perfect. Back to 1,000. Controls look good, my trim is working as well. And my rudders work. One thing I am noticing though,
Or 719er, correction, or 19er Mike, fly heading 240.
And I mentioned this in the previous stream as well. That was that I don't go full idle. I was doing the landing in the previous stream and I was full idle, and I also mentioned on the stream that I was idle here with my yoke or with my throttle here. But virtually I still saw my RPM running. And that's not good. TPM. That's this one. Can I calibrate? We don't use this, but let's see if that makes a difference. I guess these were changes, so let's do discard. Yes, does it make a difference? No, it does not. So this should be perhaps a remark or comment, feedback for the extension back. Okay, so here we are at the runway. We did our checks. That's really, really good. I can switch to my departure plans. So 251, so straight out departure, we're going to climb. Once we are going to cross over that 154 radial, which we already set in here, and then F2. Once this one flips, then we're going to fly to 201 to the left, and we get radar vectors to continue our flight plan to Seal Beach, which we already set in here. I already get a reading, but I don't hear any Morse codes. Which is weird. We got the GPS, so we know where we need to go to. But yeah, should have expected to hear some Morse code in the least. But alright, 310, that's checked as well. 31 and a bit, it's actually a bit off already. Gyro drift, yes. And our tower to the south is 120.905. 120.905. Switch to COM1, and we've got our departure frequency, which is set to, which should be set to 125.2. Very good. And then we're here, we're ready to go. Yes. Perfect. 0.95 and 125.2. Okay. One notch of flaps. Trim is set. Fuel tanks are good, and engine is good as well. And we don't see anyone on the runway. Alrighty. Los Angeles Tower, Sky Papa Delta Tango, Mark is holding short at Foxtrot 25 left, ready for departure IFR. If I may. Could be a shift in controllers. 1 to 0.95. That's correct. Tower.
Santa Barbara, clearance, Cessna 4452, ready copy, IFR clear.
We are good.
Santa Maria. PHA, I'm Los Angeles ground, runway 25 left, taxi Alpha Foxtrot.
And Papa Delta Tango Mike is already holding short at Foxtrot 25 left. You already gave those instructions. Ready for departure, actually, IFR.
PHA, yeah, that's sorry about that. Los Angeles tower, runway 25 left, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 25 left, Papa Delta Tango Mike. Alright, landing lights on, strobe lights on.
Clear to Santa Maria Airport.
There we go, guys. I-6.
Lot 5 departure. San Marcos transition.
No one
direct
is
climb via 6 and maintain 3,000. Expect 6,000. 10 minutes after departure.
big runway here, but I'm going to use every inch of it.
Departure frequency 120.55, squawk 3503.
Alright, let's see if our heading indicator corresponds.
4452, cleared to Santa Maria, Flout 5,
It's
departure
okay.
via San
Full
Marcos
power.
direct. Fly to SID, main accept 3000, 10 minutes after departure.
Airspeed's alive, engine is looking
10
good.
minutes after departure, 12055, 3503, 4452.
And 60. And there we go already.
Okay, and this will be for the I-10.
Beautiful LAX. Alright, so we're flying runway heading. We cannot cross or climb through 3000 as part of the SID. Until we reach that radial. So we're waiting for this shift in the change in the needle. Okay, let's keep our climb going. Keep it at VY there. Yeah, Dad. I think he was getting some dinner or some drinks or something like that. Okay. Waiting for a switch to departure. Now, because we're flying our altitudes according to the SID, I should also mention that to the departure controller so that he knows that I know what I'm doing, rather than just saying, okay, there's the shift already. You can see the needle coming in. Rather than saying I'm at 1,500 for 4,000, like he instructed me as part of the clearance, partially part of the clearance. Alright, so now at 154, we can start our turn to 201. Standard rate turn. Keep that climb going. We are now allowed to climb through to 4,000, so the top altitude of 3,000. Over to departure point, Delta rank. There's our 201.
For 100 mic, turn left heading 060. I missed your approach plan, sir.
060, 100 mic, no problem.
So for departure, Skype Delta ranks climbing through 2,200 via the SID to 4,000.
PHIM, look at departure, radar contact.
All right. So far, so good. Landing lights off. At around 3000 MSL, we can mess around with our mixture. Still, I hear no reading of the Seal Beach. So basically, we're flying away from LAX, away from all the big airliners, so we don't interrupt traffic flow. Alright, 3000 coming up. That means that we can now start to lean. The air is thin enough for us to do that with full power. Otherwise you can overheat your engine and all kinds of other troubles. So there you can see the EGT, and I'm pulling on my mixture. You can see you can also hear it. So there we go. Getting more performance. Optimizing the mixture between the air and our fuel. 1,000 feet to go, or 800 feet to go for our cruising altitude. Double check again, 195-ish, 200 actually, that's correct. Altimeter is still set, it's good. We're flying a vector, speed is okay-ish. Temperature outside is good, no moist, no pitot heat. Fuel quantity is good, EGT is good, fuel flow is good, temps are good, pressure is good, vacuum is good, amps are good. Lights we checked already, landing lights are off. And we got a good power configuration going. And what are we doing? We are flying a vector We are expecting vectors to Seal Beach at any time, and we are approaching our cruising altitude. 300 feet to go.
PHM flight 130.
130, Papa Delta Mike. 130. There it is, and we are at 4,000. Standard rate turn. Push on that nose. And Joe, this controller, always gives me instructions at moments when I need to level off or make a turn, and so he always distracts me, catches me off guard actually. Alright. Good. Trimming a bit again. So we're now on cruise. So we can get back to around 2300 RPM-ish. Alright, this looks kind of stable, but our airspeed is still increasing, so I'm expecting a bit of a climb there. There it comes.
Orange County, John Wayne Information Whiskey. 2000 Zulu weather. Wind 030 at 5. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 9,900 broken. Temperature 14. Dew point -4. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runways 20 right. 20
Alright, we've got our ATIS, got our weather already. So when approach, it's going to ask us for our approach request. Then we know what to do. Alright, can we optimize our AGT a bit?
They're 100 Mike, nope, it's not workload, it's just it's so quiet.
Okay, so apparently...
it's going to be another three miles before I turn you here, so we're just, it's a snooze watching you.
Alright, 130, still checked, altimeter set.
PHM, contact SoCal approach 128.1.
128.1, Papa Delta Mike. 128.1. Switch. And SoCal approach, Chicago Papa Delta Mike. Level 4000 with whiskey for John Wayne.
Papa Delta Tango Mike, SoCal approach, John Wayne altimeter 2999, revised weather approach request.
99 for the altimeter. We'd like to fly the full approach starting from Seal Beach into John Wayne, runway 20 right, please.
PHM, alright, thank you, have your request. Cessna 100 Mike, turn left heading 270.
Alright.
Left 270, 100 Mike.
Which is actually the same way that we did already as part of my own training program leading up to these I ratings, is doing practice approaches, where I was much more interested in flying the full approach that you almost never get assigned to in real life. Usually you get vectors to final. But I'd like to practice the full approaches as part of my own training, so I'm already a bit familiar with the phraseology. AGT, temps, pressure, vacuum, amps, and again lights, we are ready to go. So what I'm trying to do is with each stage of flight that we reach or achieve, climb, cruise, and during cruise a couple of times, I'm doing a scan where I'm just checking. So I'm starting here, following the flow here, going all the way to the bottom, then to the stack, and then I did a complete run. Weather software. I'm using Ultra Weather XP. That's the one that I'm using, but that's actually just the texturing. So it's just the nice fuzziness, the prettiness of the clouds, and it's not including the engine. And that's why I'm so interested and excited about Active Sky Next coming into X-Plane, because to me it's much more about the engine than the fanciness, the prettiness of the clouds. Alright, so that's good. Charts. So departure we don't need. This is our approach. So Seal Beach, then 4049 or so. Once we reach Seal Beach, or get near Seal Beach, then the approach controller already knows what we'd like to do. We'd like to fly the full approach, or starting from the Seal Beach forwarding. You can also, as part of your, as a VFR flight on PilotEdge or in the real world, or as part of your IFR flight, you can also say, I'd like to do the approach, the 20 right approach of John Wayne, starting from Sager, or starting from Paradise V, or whatever point you can find. It's just part of practice. In this case, we're starting from Seal Beach because the I rating instructs us to do so, which is kind of nice. But usually it's vectors to final. Okay, still going strong. We're at 4,000, so it's not going to make much of a difference, but we can calibrate our speed as well. 4,000, so we're actually flying 105, which is exactly what I filed for my true airspeed. You file your true airspeed as part of your cruise. I caught that descent. We already got the ATIS, so that's good. Already mentioned that. And again, what's interesting, as you probably noticed already, my ATIS, which is real world weather that I set in here and explain, told me it was 902, right? 902, 902 for John Wayne. And the controller, who actually got the real weather, says it's 999er. And that's a problem. And I'm hoping that Active Sky Next will fix that. So the approach controller has our request. It doesn't mean that I haven't received a clearance to fly the approach. I'm still on that vector. We haven't heard proceed on course or anything like that, so perhaps he's just flying us away from any other traffic.
452, Santa Barbara ground, where are you parked?
So this is just flying a plain old vector, plain old heading. But I'm expecting to fly to Seal Beach very, very soon. Get a vector to Seal Beach. And already trying to see if we can receive it. We cannot. That's weird. Perhaps I put in the...
we don't use that here at Santa Barbara. It's okay. Cessna 4452, runway
115.7. Ah, that's interesting. Keith, I feel a slap in my face right now. Why?
PHAM, clear direct Seal Beach, cross Seal Beach, 4,000, clear ILS, runway 20 right approach.
Direct to Seal Beach at 4,000 and clear for the 20 right approach. Folks. Ding dong. And there's the reading as well. Did you guys notice what I was doing wrong? You can also hear the Morse code now, which was correct. 050. Standard rate turn. So I was flying GPS mode. I can show you in just a sec. Alrighty. Flying direct to Seal Beach. We need to remain at 4,000, which is not a surprise because we know that as part of the approach we need to fly at least 4,000 feet. But yeah, the problem that I had was I was flying GPS mode. Poof, there you go. You can see the VOR change. So in that mode, in this mode, the mode that I was in, the needle shows me the deflection, the distance that I'm away from my GPS route, not the frequency that I set in.
So it's the 100 mile contact, Palomar Tower 118.6.
And that should have already made me aware that something was wrong, and I didn't hear a Morse code, and I thought, oh well, perhaps it's X-plane. That's what I thought, or perhaps I need to get up. And then I thought, let's just turn the wheel, turn the OBS, and then when I didn't see a reading, I thought, oh my gosh, and then I saw this GPS, and I thought, oh damn it.
Palomar Tower, wind 2305, runway 24, clear land.
All right, we are 13.8 nautical miles away from Seal Beach. Can already set the heading log to 196. which is the localizer heading. 111.75 is the localizer. Frequency already set in the standby of the nav1, so that's good as well. Sager 1906, 1 minute. Yeah, we can already prep the stopwatch here for the hold. For this chunk. Alright, let's do a double check again. 55 fish, looks good. Altimeter setting, 9 or 2 in my case. No unshaded messages, that's good. Synced, temperature is good, no moist. Quantity is good, EGT is goodish, fuel flow is good, temps, pressure, vacuum ammeter, no circuit breakers are popped out. Lights, we don't need, well, we can already put in landing lights. We got LED lights, everything is set here. What are we doing? We are flying direct to Seal Beach as instructed. Should be a bit more precise on that. And we are cleared for the approach already, which is great. We are 10 nautical miles away from Seal Beach. So we're pretty much on our own. And it's not busy on the network. My gosh, some other pilot already thought that he had radio problems. But Joe said, no, it's very busy on the net, or very not busy on the network.
4452 Santa Barbara Tower, runway 25, close takeoff.
Hey Kim, good to see you. Good stuff on the modeling on the Discord, by the way. I looked up one of the videos of the CG Master stuff that you guys were talking about. It was good, good videos. I cannot wait to start with modeling myself. But first the I-rings. First the I-rings. So our track is over there. You can see we're flying to Seal Beach just fine. Still got a way to go. Looking at my instrument approach plate here. So the profile view, so we're gonna enter from Sager, right? The first time from Seal Beach Vortec. We're gonna make the procedure turn at 3,500. And once we cross Sager again at 17.3 DME from the localizer, from Santa Monica, the 20 right localizer. Then we're gonna step down to 3,400, blah blah blah, until we are at Lemon, and that's when we are gonna deliberately fly the glide slope. That's where the lightning bolt is depicted, and officially not any sooner. And usually with approaches, this is just fine. If you capture the glide slope sooner than the lightning bolt signal here, you will mostly be fine. But for example, when the fixes prior to the final approach fix are many, for example with the LAX approaches, there are 5 or 6 or 7 approaches or fixes before the final approach fix, and the weather, I believe it's when it's very hot weather, then there might be a situation where you fly the glide slope and you actually fly underneath the minimum altitudes there, and that's not good. And that's why that lightning bolt signal is there, because there you need to be actually deliberately, consciously flying the glide slope. Alright, so Seal Beach is coming up, 5 miles, 4 miles.
19 Mike, next parking bay Alpha.
Cross at 4,000, that was Joe instruction. And so as soon as we hit Seal Beach, we're going to fly 049er, radial.
Loud and clear. 4452, unable to pass. Take a look at the departure procedure and see if you can figure out what you're doing wrong there.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of lost. Let me look at it and I'll try it again in a minute.
Yeah, the first thing you'll notice is there is no straight portion. If you look at the picture or if you read the text, it says climbing left turn, in your case from runway 25, climbing left turn.
So someone is messing up his ratings.
So in that case, you fly
which is
runway
part of the
heading
deal.
Until 400 feet.
Now,
and you've passed.
we're almost at Seal Beach, but as you
other
can
end of
see
the
already,
runway. You always want to overfly the end of the runway, and then reach 400 feet before you make any turns when you're IFR.
we are already flying
and then once you're at that
049-ish, so
you're
we
following the
don't
SID,
need
and the
to
SID
make
calls for an
any
immediate
big
turn, so that would be where you would start
change
your turn.
in our heading.
Now I'm looking at the Slough 5 departure. Where does it say that? I'm looking all over for what you just said.
No, I'm explaining.
It is,
okay,
Spheres.
when you're an IFR
I agree.
there is 100% of the time.
Now you can see the needle is
you will fly
running
runway
away from
heading
us because we're very near Seal
400
Beach.
feet
Vortex.
and overfly the end of the runway. Okay, so if you have to go up to 800 feet to overfly the end of the runway because you're climbing really fast, then you do that.
So from this point on,
fly runway heading when you're IFR.
once it
That's in
flips
the
to
FAR.
from,
That has something to do with the obstacle clearance and all the, it gets too complicated to get into over the radio.
we need to fly 049 radial.
Point,
Outbound.
you're allowed to make turns if so assigned. And the first thing it says, turn right, turn left. Take a look at the departure route description. Take off runway.
Still waiting for the flip.
Turn left.
Okay, so I see where it says turn left, intercept, and proceed. So that's the climbing left turn right there.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm gonna
if you
start
had
over.
made the mistake
Back
and
with you in a
turned
couple minutes.
before 400 feet, they're not gonna, you just turned too low. But you just flew runway heading. It's just turn left.
Yep, nope, I see it now. Okay, I'll be back.
And there's the flip. So 049, that's the only difference. And now we wait for the needle to creep in again. And this is going to be a 18.9 nautical mile leg to Sager. And look at this. Leg 4,000 049er. And we wait until the needle creeps in because we need to fly not the heading but the radial. So it's important that we look at the needle there, so we can fly a little bit to the east, so we can capture it. If I look at my GPS, you can see we're a bit to the left of the track. So let's be clear about that. Go with the Boeing 747. No, that's very boring. It's much more hands-on to fly with a 172, especially with no autopilot like I'm doing, than flying a big 747. It's just too complex to me for me to fly properly. Alright, we are 2.5 nautical miles away from Seal Beach, so I'm expecting to get some needle movement there. Also, I'm 200 feet above 4,000, which is not a big thing anymore. We crossed Seal Beach at 4,000 as instructed, and now we are on the approach. And these are actually minimum approach, minimum en route altitudes. 4,000. We can also fly higher, which we shouldn't do. You like to go down, right? So 4,000. That's what we're going to fly. 18.9 nautical miles. Now, at this point, it might actually be more helpful to thank you, fucker, for the subscription. Appreciate it. Thanks. It's encouraging. Thank you so much, buddy. Might actually be better now to switch our nav1 to our localizer and our nav2 to 115.7. Switch. And set it to 049. You can see the needle is slowly creeping in.
Southwest 968, Los Angeles Center, good morning.
The only thing that I'm noticing right now is I'm getting now the DME of the localizer, but I'm not getting the DME, of course, of Seal Beach anymore. I only have my DME for the nav1. And because we're flying, the ILS is a very narrow band of information that is sent away from the airport. So when we're flying the opposite direction, we will not receive that information. And I was thinking about cross-secting those different radials so that I know when I'm at Sager. But I think that won't work, so I'm just going to switch back. So now we got double Seal Beach. I'd like to be a bit more precise here, so let's turn a bit more to the right here and capture that radial. So here we go, 4,000. The needle should now creep in more rapidly. And again, 6.7 nautical miles away from Seal Beach at the back. And so we know from the chart that at around 18.9 we will hit Sager. And at the same time I would expect to see the localizer lit up so we can pinpoint where we are at, but apparently my localizer for John Wayne is not, we don't really receive it just yet. That'll work coming out of the hold, exactly, Kim. So as soon, I mean, because the ILS is quite a narrow band, right, that's transmitting, once we make that procedure turn as part of that hold and we turn back towards, align ourselves with the runway 194 heading, then suddenly we receive that information coming from the ILS, from the airport. Alright, let's align ourselves again. Okay, our timer is set for the 1 minute. Outbound leg.
So 10 per
Most likely we're going to stay with approach here. John Wayne is 126.8 for the tower.
1968, 70, lucky 1 arrival.
So we set it in the standby of the COM1 so we can easily switch. While we are at Lemon and doing all kinds of approach things.
Las Vegas Airport, slap 1 departure, mites in transition, as fogged.
Fucker Tim, if you ever shared your checker your profile, I can never seem to come to the smoother journeys that you achieved. I think I did share it, fucker. I'm not quite sure. If not, just PM me. I think I posted a blog post on that, but it will be quite easy to share my Trek IR profile. It's not too fancy though. Ah, I can see what's going on. So again, I'm flying 49-ish on my heading indicator, but I'm still running away from the needle again. And I think, what's going on? But I think I know what's going on. We got gyro drifts. We are now flying 45. Bloop, 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 bloop. There we go. And this is also, which I didn't do actually. I did it during cruise and climb. Do the flow. Double check Is your compass in sync with your heading indicator? Altimeter setting, we're cleared for the approach, so now we can actually also fly the altimeter setting, the local altimeter setting of the, we should fly the local altimeter setting of our destination airport. Should be 9er according to Joe, but apparently my real world settings currently by default here on X-Plane are different, so we're flying 9er. And we're gonna remember, I'm hoping I'm going to remember to double check my altitude once we hit Lemon. At the final approach fix, finally, I'm forgetting that stuff too often. It's not good. Yeah, no problem, Fogger. And if you cannot find it, let me know. I'll be happy to share it. 13.4 nautical miles away from Seal Beach. So still 5 to go. Again, engine is looking good. And nice, everything is on. Very good. And look at this beautiful scenery. I am noticing some hiccups here, by the way. Don't know why that is happening. Perhaps because I haven't turned my computer on for a few weeks. Windows is updating in the background, which is always very risky business. Now you can see there Sager. Again, GPS is giving us some situational awareness, but if you... I've been actually practically flying Slant Alpha for the last... from the start actually from this flight. But it's always good to have the GPS near you, and it's also important that you are familiar with how to use the GPS. In my case, even though I've been practicing flying the GPS for several flights by now, apparently after 2 weeks of not flying, I forgot to check whether my GPS was, or my VOR, or I guess my GPS, was in the GPS mode or in the VLOG mode, and I didn't notice, and I thought I was not able to receive Seal Beach. So I thought, oh my gosh, GPS mode, click, and then there was Seal Beach in my Morse code. Alright, now one thing, once we reach Sager, so this leg is 4,000, but once we reach Sager and we start our procedure turn, we can actually fly 500 feet lower, 3,500, until we cross Sager again, but now on the inbound leg. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to be a bit more aware of my GPS, of my DME there on the right. 17 now, 1 mile point 9er. 1.9 miles until we reach Sager, according to my DME. And according to my GPS, that makes sense as well. And then 196 at the bottom of my heading indicator. So we're going to fly upwards, which is going to be 016. 0.6 nautical miles to go. According to the GPS, we can already turn, so let's do that. There we go, making that turn. We can also descend now if we like, and we can start our timer. Perhaps only when we are... Oh, 01, sorry. .016 it was. Perhaps now I should have set the timer when I was aligned.
Southwest 1050 Burbank ground push on runway 26, correction runway 8 is approved.
So there we go. Now fly to 3,500. We're going to keep my speed a bit up, so we're faster. Doesn't make my holding procedure turn that symmetrical and neat, but I guess we need to fly faster than... Come on. Stay at 160. 16. 3,500. There's 1 minute. Let's make my procedure turn. To the left. I can reset this one. Standard rate turn. Can swap my 3,500. Come on. Push up. Yes, thank you. We can fly a bit like this. Perhaps a bit more. Oh, I need to overturn. I thought I should shortcut it, but then I'm obviously flying away from the localizer path. I should increase it by 45 fish. Now we're flying inbound. And let's keep it at 3,500. You can see we already have a reading on the nav1. But again, we're not going to fly the glide slope just yet. 17.3 should be Sager. There comes the localizer. Bit more power there. Alright, let's make that turn. Keep the speed up. 196. There it is, 196. And 17.3, there's 17.3, so now we can descend to 3,400, which is not a big descent. Alright, so I'm flying the localizer, so the vertical needle, but I'm not looking at the glide slope.
PHTM at Lemon, contact John Wayne Tower 126.8.
At 11 we switch over to Tower Papa Delta United. 3,400, push up. Alright, we're looking for 12.4 now. Yes, 12.4, a bit to the left here. So we're actually flying a non-precision approach kind of procedure here. Let me put up the plate so you guys can see, by the way. Profile view, that's what I'm looking at. 12.4, and then we can descend to 2,800. Only one thing that you cannot see now is the DME, which is behind the map, but it's now on 15.2. Landing lights on, everything is on. Still, I'm leaned. So 14.5, looking for 12.4. Got a bit of a tailwind here, at least in my sim. Constant rate, yeah, again, I guess so.
Southwest 1050, runway 15, taxi via Alpha.
Next up is 2,800 to Yukon, and the next one is Lemon. Tower was 126.8, which I already set on the standby, so I'm prepared. Got whiskey, which is good. 12.8 on the DME, looking for 12.4. Now and again, with the 172, you got so much more time on your hand. Imagine doing this with a Learjet when you're flying much faster. Alright, 12.4, so we're now at Snake. So now we're going to go down to 2,800. Going to keep my speed in. We're now looking for Yukon, which is 10 nautical miles. Still, I'm a bit off of my localizer. 2800. That's better on the localizer. 0.7 on the DME. If you look to the right.
Uncle.
There's 2800. Almost, like Kim already suggested, predicted, there's 10. So we can continue our descent now to 2200. And as long as we keep these this descent going, we'll be just fine. Now we're going to go to Lemon at 7.8 for 2200. Lemon. Ding, 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 ding. You can see the glide slope already coming in. Lemon 7.8. 2200. Get the descent going. I'm not looking at the glide slope information here. $2,200. I'm looking at 7.8. At Lemon, there I'm going to switch over to Tower. And then I'm going to fly the glide slope. $7.8. Good, now we can fly the glide slope. Switch to Tower. John Wayne Tower, Sky Papa Delta Tango, India Mike is on the ILS 20 right approach with Whiskey.
Papa Delta Tango, India Mike, John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear land.
Clear land, 20 right, Papa Delta Tango Mike. Good, so now I'm just focusing on the glide slope with the vertical, everything, the full ILS, keeping my speed up, so I'm making it, well, there's no one on the network currently, but generally making it more easy for the air traffic controllers to put my little 172, my slow butt 172, in between bigger jets that are usually flying at Charlie class or Bravo class airports. There you go. So this was the right procedure, and I think this was the exact message that or lesson that Keith was giving me at my first I rating, because then I was already flying the glide slope much sooner than Lemon, and there's a potential risk there. Now 255 is going to be our decision altitudes. Well, we got VFR, we already have the field in sight, but let's just... Oh, I didn't check my altimeter! Damn it. I didn't check. Because at Lemon, I was switching the frequency, I was capturing the glide slope, and I should have already checked my altimeter. Three things that I should have done at the same time. And that could be done, by the way, but... Damn it. Like our... Oh my gosh. Yeah, so those are three things that you actually need to do at the same time. Interesting. Alrighty, so actually I can still keep my speed up if I like, but let's not. Also, why is my glide slope that high? Apparently I was... that was not a good thing.
250 at 7.
That was actually quite dangerous there. Apparently I forgot about my glide slope there while I was chatting with you guys. And I was quite a bit low. I saw 3 reds on the Papi. So I guess I was still fine-ish, but when you're this close to the airport, you don't want to mess around with your altitude, so... Alrighty. There is John Wayne Airport in the white band. Not quite. Again, I'm idle, but you can see, at least my hardware throttle is on idle, but you can see I'm still running 1300 RPM, which is weird to me, unusual, and I think that's rep bugginess, but let's see if we can butter this landing. Full flaps. Oh yeah, that was loud. Welcome to Junway. At hotel, I see. Get our butts behind the threshold line. 1000. Ah, I didn't increase my mixture. I didn't do my proper final checks. You can see. Now it should be in like this, but that's not good. Okay. What is ground? Ground is for the west. Is 132.25. Just in the standby.
Southwest 1968, contact SoCal approach 124.35. See it.
And we're going to taxi to the tower over there. Also, improvement from my first I rating. Let's also then taxi to the tower and not go to anywhere else. John Wayne Tower, Sky Papa Delta, Tango Mike is clear of 20 right at hotel. Taxi to the tower, please.
Southwest 1968, say again.
I was stepping again on someone.
Negative 2435.
Thanks, Dad. And thanks, Kim.
Southwest 1050, contact departure.
Yeah, it was a tailwind indeed.
Departure, Southwest 1050. PHM taxi parking via Bravo is patch 56.
Via Bravo to the ramp, and thanks for the pass, Papa Delta Mike. I-6 in the pocket, guys. Next up is the I-7, which is interesting. The thanks, campers. The I-7 is going to include a non-towered airport, which we also already practiced. So we are going to fly from John Wayne, so from this airport, to Catalina Island, which is an island here near the coast of Los Angeles. And we're going to fly there. This is a non-towered airport, and there's some other kind of procedures involved with doing that. So that's going to be exciting. I'm planning to do that tomorrow or Monday, but I think tomorrow. So if you're ready tomorrow at the same time, 18:30 Zulu time, you can join me. Let's see if I can also pass for the I-7 rating. Thanks, Kim. Thanks for June.
Is that the call sign?
There's our car.
Yeah. 268 Romeo, Soundless ground, runway 29.
Alrighty.
Alpha.
Parking brake sets. First, turn off our transponder and reset it to 1200s. Let's set off our radios here. There, it's off. And yeah, then magneto check off both. I can see a dip in the RPM. So now we can set it off. Good. Off. Batteries off. My landing lights were still on. Okay, so that's a remark. Worth a remark in just a sec. So we made it. I-6. I'm proud. This is all great. My ATC went pretty well. My navigation went pretty well. But I made a few mistakes that, in my mind, were totally caused by not being that, or not having flown that often in the previous 2 weeks. I'm only flying for the I ratings right now, and I can see some sloppiness coming in. So the first one was the procedure turn. So when I was turning around back inbound to the airport, I was shortcutting my turn. I was flying 45 degrees outbound from the localizer instead of inbound to the localizer. I corrected for that, but the GPS helped. I glanced at the right and I thought, huh? That's wrong. And then I thought, oh yeah. So I didn't really quite rehearse the inbound parallel entry turn. But again, I was aware that the GPS would help me and assist me, and I was deliberately using the GPS for that purpose, so that was okay. But for my own learning, I could have prepared that a bit more. Then obviously my mixture settings, I was still lean in landing, which is not good. So that means that, and that is true. I didn't do my proper final checks. I'm doing these flows out of my from the top of my mind, and I was really consistent with my flows during climb and during cruise, but in the approach phase I didn't. And I was really involved with flying the procedure. Always fly the airplane first, so I forgot about that. So, and that's my final point, and that makes the flying a proper ILS approach difficult, procedurally, at least in my mind still, is that as soon as you hit the final approach fix, or a little bit before that, there are a lot of stuff that needs to happen at that point. So, one is I need to check my altimeter setting. That's really important. Your altimeter is crucial, is essential, especially when you're completely in the soup, when you are completely IMC. You need to know that your altimeter is in sync with the chart, because then you know that you can actually fly the damn procedure and that you will not fly into any building. So that's really, really important. I forgot about that. Then at that final approach fix, when you need to do that fix, you need to switch over to tower, get your clearance at the same time. And you need to capture and fly the glide slope. Now, the glide slope thing shouldn't actually be a very conscious item, that you need to fly the glide slope. Well, yeah, I was thinking if you are trimmed well already prior to the final approach fix, you should already be on that 3-degree glide, what PHKIM Kim was suggesting. But at the same time, because you should only fly the glide slope after you reach Lemon, then prior to that, almost by definition, you fly step downs like a non-precision approach. So you wouldn't be trimmed in that setting, like I was. But no, I was already quite near the Lemon 2200, so I was already a bit in a glide. Yeah, but that's difficult. And at that point also, or at least in front, or at least before that point, I'm not quite sure. I should study that. I also needed to finish my final approach checks, like mixture in, are my lights on, are my, you know. So procedurally, there is some stuff that I need to improve on, and a bit of that has to do with not being in shape, to be honest. And I was more concerned with the intellectual challenge of flying the approach rather than flying the aircraft, which is not good. So that's something that I can improve on. Should fly more. I should fly on. What to Dubai? Oh, that's great, Dad. I have a lot of fun in Dubai. Have a great flight. Thanks for dropping by. I always appreciate that. Also, I would have verified the DME with the SLL radios. Yeah, Kim. Well, that's true. Can I still bring that up, by the way? I mean, I like these briefings afterwards, also for those of you who like to prepare for doing the I-6 as well. Does it still work? No. Or perhaps it does in just a sec. Sync air server. That doesn't look good. I cannot fix this in stream, I guess. Really, really weird. Well, perhaps I can show you in this tiny window. So what Kim is referring to, let me zoom in. So you see the Seal Beach Vortec, right? We're flying this 4000 049er radial outbound to Sager. But you can see there are also various radials now radiating outward from Seal Beach that are intersecting with the localizer at various points. Well, those points are actually the fixes that we use to get down to our to John Wayne. Now, we were using those fixes. We were defining those fixes based on our localizer path and our DME from the localizer, from the ILS, right? So the 12.4. The 10 and the 7.8, blah blah blah. But as part of redundancy, and I think this is legally, this is redundant. This is not, you're not obliged to do this if you are equipped with DME. But what Kim is suggesting, that you can also on the NAV2 could have used Seal Beach. I could have used Seal Beach and also set in all of these radials while I was flying and doing all of the stuff that I was partly forgetting, to make sure, verifying that I was indeed at those points. Well, if you're flying with DME, I think that's too much of a workload. But again, if you're Slant Alpha and you don't have a DME, you have to. And then on top of that, the lemon and the switching to tower and the checks, and yeah, for me, still, that's a bit too much of a hassle. And I should improve on that. Would be great. I think Keith also would recommend me using those radials, I guess. That's interesting. Yeah. What I am curious of is just the landing disconnected. Yeah, let's put some music on. There we were. Oh yeah. The 172. I cannot wait to build my own. Model my own. Zip. If ILS goes dark, you're lost when you depend on the immunity. Yeah, that's true, Kim. And that therefore it's redundancy, those radials, when you have DME, but yeah, in case of error, in case shit's gonna hit the fan, then you're quite pleased. Also a bit crabbed, I wasn't really aware of that at all. You can see I'm a bit aligned to the left here of the center line. Here it's dissipating. Nice round off. Main wheels first. Could have been a bit more exaggerated, I guess. The nose wheel landed quite quickly after, so I'm not really on my butts, I'm not really on my main wheels here. I mean, you can see the nose is lifting, but it's not too much. Main wheels first, well, barely. But I'm pleased with this landing, but these are just the tiny things that are nice to notice. John Wayne, and passed for the I-6. I'm pleased with this. So yeah, next rating is I-7, perhaps tomorrow. I'm not quite sure with my schedule, but I do have some free time, so I need to figure out. The whole idea is to get all of my I ratings before Christmas, because then I'd like to continue my other series that I've been postponing now for many, many months. I think I started it 1 year before. Around Christmas last year, I started my 172 development series, and I completed that upwards to Plane Maker, and now I'd like to continue with using Blender and 3D modeling to make my own 3D high quality cockpit. I've got all kinds of photographs and media from a real 172S. I'd like to build my own 172 for X-Plane, and I'd like to continue those series in the Christmas holiday break. So before Christmas, leading up to Christmas, I need to, I really want to pass for all the I ratings. It took me quite some time, especially because work interfered. So that's up next. So tomorrow, I-7, and perhaps even Monday, the I-8. So it's going to be a week full of I ratings, so if you're interested, please fly along. Help me improve my flying, or learn from my flying, hopefully, so you can pass your I ratings as well very, very soon. Let me look at the taxi. It's nice to see my 172 again. Again, I'm not flying that often. From the tower view, and it's such a gorgeous airport. Don't you think, guys? I mean, it's so pretty. There we go. No sky ratings before modeling. Well, I don't know, Kim, perhaps. I am aware of the sky ratings, but I also like to just celebrate, I guess, the fact that I've attained my IFR, virtual IFR rating. I've always dreamed about doing that virtually in the sim, and finally I'm about to attain that instrument rating. And then I actually like to do some celebration flights on my own, and also check out the FS Economy. And I don't know. Also thinking about creating some other content, flight simulator content, flight simulation content for my channel, but something new and fresh. Again, in parallel to the development stuff. So I think I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna start with these sky ratings right off the bat. Brrr. Alrighty, now that's the perfect ending, I guess, to our little stream today. I-6 rating passed. I'm pleased. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining this stream, flying along. Fucker, thank you for your subscription. I really, really appreciate that. And again, let me know if you cannot find the Trek IR profile, and I will send it to you or post a blog post on that with my settings. Kim, thank you also for dropping by and suggestions. Dad, thank you for dropping by. It's always good to see you. Scampers, Voju, Jaden, many of you here that joined the stream. Thank you guys, that's really encouraging and cozy. Hope you learned something, or perhaps you are thinking about doing these challenges yourself as well. It's so much fun to learn to fly, just aside from flying, but learning or improving, optimizing your flying. That's the drive for me, at least, as part of the Uncertified Pilot. And it's also something of a bummer, I guess. Something that nagged me already at the beginning of my series, even, that there would be a day when I would complete all of my I ratings, or my cat ratings and my I ratings, and then all the official readings would be complete. I could never redo those with the same freshness. Now, as many of you already said, well, that doesn't mean that you will stop learning to fly. You will always learn something new, and that will most likely be the case. So my learning will never stop, but yeah. Until that day when I completed all of my I ratings, I will still keep up the fire there to keep on learning and perfecting my flight skills here. And there are some things that I can still work on in preparation of the I-7 rating. So if you're interested, jump aboard next time and help me complete the I-7 rating until I attain my virtual instrument rating in Flight Simulator on PilotEdge. Guys, again, thank you so much. Happy flights and blue skies. Bye.
Palm Springs Tower, Skylane Hotel Tango, is 10 miles north of 43,000. Information X-ray for a full stop, and landing 13 left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs altimeters 2985, radar contact, about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, so requesting straight in for 13.
That's available, yes please.
Ever correction, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, link straight in runway 13 left, and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, glass 4658 is type PC finals land cloud request clearance to Vegas S file.
Papa 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S file. I'll be forward stepping. Papa 4658 is cleared to Las Vegas Airport. VFI Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 2, 405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk